Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of the Tap or Snap podcast. My name is Derek, and I'm joined with...
And I'm Luke.
And thank you for joining us for the first episode of our first ever podcast. This is an MMA podcast. We're just two casual fans who try to give a fan's perspective, not necessarily a expert perspective of what's going on, just more of a, we're fans. We couldn't beat any of these guys in a fight, but we love to watch, and we love to, we have our favorites we like to root for, and we have opinions like everybody else. So welcome.
He's lying. We're here to criticize, analyze, and manifestize.
Manifestize. I'm going to have to look up that word. Oh, that's a new one for me.
No, Derek, I'm excited about this. I'm excited to sit down and talk with a fellow MMA fan, not just about the UFC, but all of the ones that are out there across all the countries.
Exactly. I know you're a big fan of a lot of the Russian fighters. You absolutely love them. You can provide a lot of insight that I can't, so I can't wait to hear your analysis of some of them and some of the up and coming ones.
Absolutely, and you actually come from a background where you're a belt of some kind. You've done jiu-jitsu, you've done taekwondo, so it really helps that you get that side of it and that perspective. And you've been watching UFC, man, for a hot minute.
Well, I appreciate that. I remember you and I talking in our 10th grade chemistry class.
Yes.
About The Ultimate Fighter. Just so everybody know, we are now 28, 27 years old, somewhere in there. So we've been fans for a long time. We got a lot of opinions. We aren't any good at any of this stuff, but we like to talk about it. So.
We like to be a good fan. So, well, we're gonna go ahead and get straight into it.
So what did you think of the card? We're talking about UFC 260 here. It's the Monday after that card. I thought it was a very solid card.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to give it a 7.5. I'm going to give it a 7.5 because there were some good finishes. But I'm also going to give it a 7.5 because there were some dudes that probably need to give it up after this. But we'll get into that in a little bit.
Understood. What's the first fight that stuck out to you? I think most of the action, most of the good stuff happened on the main card, starting with Jamie Mullarkey and Kama Worthy.
Okay, I like that. I'm gonna go ahead and speak out and say it. My boy, my main man, Mr. Sugar O'Malley, he's back, and if he can stay healthy, we gonna see him.
But he looked really good.
But we can jump back to the Mullarkey fight. I thought it was a good fight. I was impressed with Mullarkey's demeanor, I guess. But I really like Worthy looked like he felt like he should be there, but he wasn't there.
It's almost unfair to him, Worthy, because he that fight ended so quick, and it wasn't like Mullarkey just came out and just was dominating him from the first second to the 46th second when it ended. Worthy's got a good record. He was 16-6 going into this, now 16-7. I think Mullarkey has some heavy hands, and I can't wait to continue to watch him at 155. That's a division that's always so exciting. So I do think that fight could go differently at any given moment of any given day, but it was just unfortunate how quick that ended.
True, and I'm going to say that this goes for both of them though. Mullarkey, it was on a 2-fight losing streak, and there were two decisions, and so I'll give him that. But winning this kind of puts him back on the track. But Worthy now goes into that 2-loss in a row category, and my thing is that. And that's actually the second in a row where he's been knocked out in the first round. So that's, in the lightweight division, that doesn't hold up. An unfortunate circumstance for him, but he's going to need either a lucky pull of the draw in the card next time of who he gets, or he's going to have to really, really step it up.
I agree. And we've seen recently speaking of Malarkey coming off 2 losses, people that's coming off of some losses usually put on some pretty good performances, trying to keep that contract and stay in the UFC and trying to perform. So I actually think he'll put on probably a pretty good performance. We actually got someone that was coming off of 3 straight losses later on in the card that we'll talk about, who he may have still lost but put on a really good performance. So maybe we can see something like that out of Worthy also.
True. So we'll go ahead and jump forward. Actually, you know what? I want to talk about who do you think Malarkey should get next? I mean, do you think that he should move up? I mean, he just came off a 2-fight losing streak, and now I don't think it's worth.
I don't think so. He's now 2-1 in the UFC. He may have just beat Worthy, but I mean, I'm not trying to downplay anybody's skill, but Worthy's not a top 15 opponent in the UFC. I don't think he should get anybody that's ranked by any means. If you want to give him a challenge, I would say Michael Johnson, if he's still in the UFC, coming off of a loss to Clay Guida.
True.
So, if anything, it'd be an exciting fight. I think they'd throw some heavy hands and somebody would go out.
I gotcha. I agree.
Did you catch the Miranda Maverick and Jillian Robertson fight?
I did. I say that. I caught a little bit of it. It was unfortunately during the middle of the time when my poor beloved Seminoles were getting sandpaper shoved in places they shouldn't. But yes, I did. I was still peeping at the fight. It was a good fight. Well, I say it was a good fight. I've liked Robertson. I've watched a couple of her fights, and I don't mind her. But this is the first time I'd seen this Miranda Maverick, and she's good. I'll give it to her.
Yeah. So going back to the first thing you said, I heard it's tough to be a Florida State fan for these past few years. I'll stop that there. But I had actually I'd never seen a Jillian Robertson fight or Miranda Maverick. I thought Miranda Maverick looked pretty good in the first round. In the second round, I could really tell that Robertson didn't want any part of her on the feet. So I knew she was going to go for that takedown early, especially being a more of a jiu-jitsu fighter, I guess you could say, with a jiu-jitsu background for Robertson. It's really funny because she did, I guess you could say, control most of that round on the ground, with Miranda Maverick getting up in the final, I believe it was probably the final 45 to 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And put a lot of pressure on the feet. But 2 judges gave that round to Miranda Maverick, which I love to see that, actually, because I really felt like what Miranda Maverick was doing to try to get off the bottom made Jillian Robertson have to use defensive wrestling to keep her down, and she didn't do any damage while she had her on the ground. She didn't punch her any. She may have, she landed some pitter-patter here and there probably, but nothing of note. And I really like seeing that changing of the scoring, because it gives that person who's more active trying to do something in the fight other than just holding them down. I think it's a little bit better for that person that's trying to do something in the fight.
Absolutely. Right. I agree. But dude, I'm going to jump ahead because I'm itching to talk about this. I'm itching to talk about this fight. I'll jump. Well, I'll stop for a second. I don't know much about the 125 women's division. I'll be 100% honest. But I think Maverick's going to get her a good fight next. It's according to this, she's 15th ranked. She's probably going to, probably get
something I want to throw out there. She's only 23 years old.
Yeah, and there's that 125 women's is actually pretty stacked now that I'm looking at it. It's got Shevchenko, but it's got Calderwood, it's got that Grazia girl. So it's got some. It's got Macy Barber. I know she lost, but it's got Macy Barber. She's young, so she still has an opportunity. So it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting.
Exactly. But, all right, let's go ahead because I know you're absolutely dying to talk about Sean O'Malley.
Sean,
so let's hear what you got.
Sugar Daddy O'Malley. What a fucking stud. No, he's not a stud. He finally didn't get hurt. So I'm more pumped than anything that he finally didn't get hurt doing something that he loved to do. I think this was a big win for him, just because it was a confidence booster. However, I think that he also at the same time probably fucked himself over. And what I mean by that is that he should have knocked him out in the first 30 seconds like he had the opportunity to do. Or not in the first 30, in the first round. Because that was his McGregor moment. That was his, starlight moment that he needed in order to get thrusted into that. And that's a quick knockout. Because the thing is think about this real quick. How did McGregor get real famous real quick? First round knockout, first round knockout, first round knockout.
That's true.
If he went, because at that point you're going 5 rounds, if you're doing decision. So if he would have did that, people would have been like, okay, cool. Like, cool. But he was finishing fights, so it brought people back. And don't get me wrong, O'Malley finished the fight. He finished this fight. And he's finished. He's finished some good fights. I mean, he's had a guillotine choke. He's got a couple TKOs. He's got a right cross that was nasty on Eddie Wineland. So I give it to him.
Yeah, he looked really good. I'm with you. He should have followed up to finish that fight in the first round. I think it's good for him to get some ring time. Get back in there after. I think it was good to see that he could last late into the third round on his ankle, because you never really know how those things are.
No, you don't.
Some people just unfortunate sometimes with those kind of things, and it's not something you can just strengthen. It doesn't work that way. But you're right. He probably should have followed up. He looked amazing. If you haven't seen his interview on the Pat McAfee show that he did today, it is absolutely gold.
Oh, I gotta watch it.
He actually gave a reason for why he didn't follow up in the first round. He just had some merchandise that he's coming out with. He's actually got a website. It's sugarshow.co. And I'm on there now. I haven't got a chance to really look at it, but he just come up with a new design that mentions that he knocks people out with his right hand, but he dropped Almeida with his left in the first round, so he had to let him back up so he could knock him out with his right.
Oh my god. What? That's a gangster move. That's good. I like that though. That's a publicity move.
It is. He's the type of fighter that the UFC is going to love. Even if he was to lose a couple in the road, they're going to invite him back because people are going to tune in to watch him fight. He's all around a showman. He loves to just perform, and performing is not just fighting. It's he has that mindset, but he's also good. He looked unstoppable, man. He didn't get hit much at all. Who do you think's next for him? Who do you want to see him fight? There's already some names being floated out there, but
pause. Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I kind of want to see him fight. What's the guy's name? Kyler Phillips. We just saw him a couple weeks ago. I think that it might be an interesting matchup. 13-1 versus 9-1. I mean, Kyler Phillips he's come off. He's on a 4-fight win streak. So I mean, why not? Like, give them.
I'm actually with you. And Kyler Phillips, his striking looked really good a couple weeks ago. He looked really fun on the feet, and I think him and O'Malley in the same cage together would just be very fun to watch.
Absolutely.
And I'm with you. Ranking-wise, I think that makes sense. I don't know if I would want to give O'Malley a ranked opponent just yet, since he was coming off of a loss to who is now ranked number 15 guy in Marlon Vera.
Yeah.
O'Malley doesn't say it's a loss, but we'll just look at it as black and white and take the gray out of it. Kyler Phillips is ranked 14th, so I'm okay with that fight. However, there is a certain fighter who has reached out to Chael Sonnen, who texted him and said that he wants to fight Sean O'Malley, and that would be one Mr. Dominic Cruz.
I was looking at Cruz,